Good evening, everyone. It's my privilege to call to order this August 6th, 2025 meeting of the James City County Planning Commission. Ms. Istenis, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Haskins. Present. Dr. Haskins is an at-large member. Dr. Ullman. Here. Dr. Ullman represents the Roberts District and is vice chair of the commission. Mr. May.
Here.
Mr. May represents the Powhatan District. Mr. Everson.
Here.
Mr. Everson represents the Stonehouse District. Mr. Rogers.
Here.
Mr. Rogers represents the Berkeley District. Mr. Polster.
Here.
Mr. Polster represents the Jamestown District. Mr. Haldeman.
Here.
Mr. Haldeman is an at-large member and will be presiding over this meeting as the chair of the commission. I'm Susan Istanis. I'm the director of planning for the county, and it's my pleasure to serve as the secretary to the commission. Sitting to my left is Ms. Liz Parman, deputy county attorney. Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. And I believe, Ms. Istenis, you have an introduction to make.
Yes, I do. I wanted the Planning Commission to meet the newest member of our staff. This is Sarah Probst. She's a principal planner. She replaced Thomas. An interesting fact, she actually worked here about 15 years ago. Was it your first job? Yeah, your first professional job? Yeah. Awesome. So she's back. We're really happy to have her and wanted y'all to get a chance to meet her.
Great. Thank you. Welcome. Good to have you. Next, we have time for public comment. This is an opportunity to address the Planning Commission on issues that are not subject to a public hearing today. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. I have speaker cards, but I think they're all directed toward the Haven mental health. Is there anybody here who wants to speak to another subject? Seeing none, we'll move to reports of the commission. Development Review Committee, Mr. Polster.
The Development Review Committee met at 4 p.m. on the 23rd of July, 2025. The committee members present were Jack Haldeman, Steve Rogers, Scott May, and Frank Polster. Staff members present were Tom Leninger, principal planner, and Hannah Honeycutt, Will Apston, planner. C25-0021 Stonehouse Track 2 review of the conceptual plan. Proffer number 10, approved by the Board of Supervisors on November 12, 2019, per case number Z19-00110, requires a conceptual plan to be submitted to the Planning Director and the Development Review Committee for review at least 60 days prior to submitted of a developmental plan for the track or land bay. The purpose of this review is to determine the general consistency with the zoning ordinance requirements, the adopted master plan, adopted proffers, and other applicable county policies. There was little discussions or questions from DRC members on the conceptual plan for Track 2 as it applied to Proffer 10's general consistency. There were questions and discussions on the overall Stonehouse development traffic warrants and affordable housing and Proffer 9 stormwater. On a vote of 4-0, the DRC determined that the conceptual plan was generally consistent with the zoning ordinance requirements, the adopted master plan, adopted proffers, and other applicable county policies. Be happy to answer any questions if there are.
Any questions? Policy Committee, Mr. Everson.
Excuse me, we did not have a meeting.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Consent agenda items are deemed non-controversial. However, any planning commissioner may pull an issue. There's only one, that being the minutes of the July 2nd meeting. Are there any edits or issues with the minutes? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll move that we approve the minutes of the July 2nd, 2025 regular meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. We'll move on to public hearings. The first on the public hearings today is zoning ordinance section 24-35, pedestrian and bicycle accommodations. Ms. Parmian.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission. Before you is a recommended ordinance to amend Section 24-35 of the James City County Zoning Ordinance. My memo to the Commission outlines certain constitutional concerns with this code section, namely that it requires the dedication of land for pedestrian and bicycle lanes for projects that would not necessarily give rise to the need for such accommodations. And when the county asks for the dedication of land for such projects, those must be examined under the United States Supreme Court's decisions related to takings and exactions. And I have a paragraph there that has a significant amount of legalese in it. I'm happy to answer questions, but I want to focus on what it is that the county attorney's office is recommending. To address these concerns, I worked with the planning director and the community development director to develop 3 additional exemptions that would fall under subsection C of section 2435. And those 3 additional exemptions are 6 through 8. The development is for outdoor operations and/or outdoor storage. This exemption does not apply to outdoor venues for sports, entertainment, or retail. Or number 7, there's not an existing sidewalk within 1 mile of the development. Or number 8, the development is more than 500 feet from the road. Allowing these exemptions for certain projects will provide the county with some leeway to exempt imposing exactions that are not related to the proposed development. And I'd ask that the commission recommend approval to the Board of Supervisors.
Any questions of Ms. Parman? Yeah,
I
Mr.
had a quick
Polster.
one. I'm sorry, I didn't ask it earlier. In number 8, when we say from the road, are you alluding then to the road being the bicycle pathway as well as the 211 pedestrian accommodation master plan? So it's those roads, is that what's meant by that?
So along the road on which the facility is proposed. So it's the road where the development lies, adjacent to.
And now I am confused. So what's the significance then of the public roads shown on the pedestrian accommodation master plan and the regional bicycle plan? What's the bearing of that?
Those are referenced early on in the ordinance, and those are simply plans that were developed by policymakers and adopted by the board that indicate locations where those accommodations should be.
So the development could take place on something different than the roads that are earmarked in both those plans. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you.
Without seeing no questions, we'll open the public hearing. Any disclosures? We've heard from the applicant. I have no speaker cards. Would anybody like to address the commission on this matter? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, open it for discussion or a motion. Mr. Polster.
I'd like to make a motion that the planning commission recommend approval of zoning ordinance section 2435 pedestrian and bicycle accommodations.
Thank you very much. Ms. Istenis, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Polster.
Aye.
Mr. Rogers.
Aye.
Mr. Everson.
Aye.
Mr. May.
Yes.
Dr. Allman.
Aye.
Dr. Haskins. Mr. Haldeman.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Next public hearing is case number SUP 24-0035. Haven Health, Mental, and Substance Abuse Hospital, 1807 Jamestown Road. Ms. Zuloff, good evening.
Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, Mr. Cheyenne Riker of Haven Health Management has applied for a special use permit to allow the operation of a mental health and substance abuse treatment facility at the current site of the New Dawn Assisted Living Facility. The subject property is located at 1807 Jamestown Road, which is inside the primary service area. It's split zoned R8 rural residential and LB limited business, and is designated low-density residential on the 2045 comprehensive plan. The proposed facility would serve up to 50 individuals for periods of 30 to 60 days. Per the applicant, the patients will not be permitted to park vehicles on site during their stay, nor are visitors permitted. The applicant states that an average of 20 employees will be present on site at any given time. with up to a maximum of 30 employees. 3 company vehicles will also be parked on site. The applicant has thus provided parking for the maximum number of employees and 3 company vehicles. The site currently operates as New Dawn Assisted Living and has operated as an assisted living facility, which is another specially permitted use in these districts, for over 2 decades. The applicant is proposing very minor changes to the site, as most changes needed to accommodate the proposed use will happen internal to the building. If this application is approved, the assisted living use will no longer be permitted. The proposed use falls under the definition of hospitals and mental health facilities found in Section 24(2) of the zoning ordinance. As it is a specially permitted use, staff is proposing conditions that mitigate potential impacts of the proposed use and which also incorporate conditions associated with an earlier SUP for the assisted living use. With the attached conditions, staff finds the proposal compatible with surrounding zoning and development and consistent with the comprehensive plan. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission recommend approval of this application to the Board of Supervisors, subject to the attached conditions. Staff is aware that the applicant is proposing slight changes to a condition that is included tonight, and I would be happy to discuss that change and provide a recommendation upon request, so that the PC can forward a recommendation with changes to the conditions if they desire. Be happy to answer any questions you may have, and the applicant is here as well.
Any questions?
Can we hear the change to the conditions?
Yeah, that's my
Yeah,
question.
I think that the applicant will, I didn't want to put them in there and speak for the applicant because, of course, we've written these conditions, so,
Fair enough.
yeah.
Any other questions? Mr. Rogers?
I have a question. It may be better addressed by the applicant, but I'm wondering in terms of a county stance, if there is a stance. And here's where I'm going with my question. Because this is Berkeley District, go Berkeley. This is my district. There's a lot in this proposal that I found just terrific and very well explained. A question, perhaps awkward, deals more with the idea of compatible uses with adjoining properties. Because if you physically go down to this particular location, right, and my understanding is this is a facility that's set up to help people deal with recovery from substance addictions and so forth, right? Literally across the street from this is an open air frothy moon microbrewery, which has entertainment and music at night, often outside, as well as to the other side of this property is a 7-Eleven convenience store that's there. And if you live in this district, you can't help but notice in the evenings there's usually a lot of foot traffic going along that stretch of property, going into the 7-Eleven and in and out of the Frothy Moon areas. Sometimes there's discussions like, is something too close to a church or is something too close to a school? And so I'm just wondering, was there any concerns by staff in terms of this particular proposed use next to, not only next to the Frothy Moon, but also, right down the street from Billsburg? It's kind of.
I think that that is a better suited question as far as compatibility of the use with surrounding the brewery and the 7-Eleven. From a land use planning perspective, that is outside of planning's purview. I will point out that, just to be clear, directly across the road is that BMP and Dizzy Izzy's, what was formerly Jamestown Pie. I think the applicant can speak better to whether or not patients will have access to walk down the road or what their limitations are there. But yes, that did not come into staff's consideration.
Is the building currently vacant?
To my knowledge, no, but I may be incorrect. Again, that's kind of.
I drove past it. I drove through it. I drove around it, and it's pretty overgrown. And it looked empty to me. I was just wondering. It doesn't matter. I just was curious. And just to be sure, the only land disturbance here is a little bit of work on the parking lot. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Ms. Suloff?
I think if I understood it correctly from the environmental impact and their statement on that, that there's some discussions with the resource protection folks that the BMP would have to be upgraded, so that's the only exterior disturbance that I know of that would take place.
And that would take, as far as there is limited disturbance again, and that they're adding a few parking spaces to kind of get to the minimum of what they would need. And that any of the BMP retrofit that would be, or changes would be at site plan stage. They weren't explicitly discussed as far as like what the extent of them was, but yes, that's another area.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. Any disclosures? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing. I have some speaker cards. Are you the applicant? What, please, we'll start with you. Please state your name and address.
Cheyenne Riker, 5556 South Rockport Road, Bloomington, Indiana, 47403. I believe there's a clicker. The mouse. Oh, easy enough. So my name is Cheyenne Riker. I'm general counsel for Haven Health Management, whom you see on the screen. We're a mental and behavioral health care company. Typically what I try and do, and I know we only have 15 minutes, but I try and give you a feel for who's coming into your community, or at least who's proposing to come into your community. And then we'll have some follow-up from some other folks with me whom I'll introduce now. And then leave as much time as necessary for questions. I have with me Jackie Daniels, who's our Director of Clinical Development in the state of Indiana. Also have Michael Urban, who works with us to ensure that we're taking the best care of our veterans, who are a large, or not, I shouldn't say a large portion of our population, but a substantial enough portion of our population to where we really need to put a lot of effort into their care. So Mike makes sure that we have a good relationship with the Veterans Affairs. And then we have Dr. Sal Rachback, who is our Chief Clinical Officer for Haven Health Management down at our headquarters in Florida. So just to give you a feel for who we are, we're mental and behavioral health experts. We've been doing this for about 13 years. We have about 2,000 employees spread across about 6 states. Over the course of the next year or so, we'll be in about 7 to 8 states. We do about a new facility every 6 to 8 months if things go as planned. We're fully licensed and accredited in every facility that we work in. We have the gold standard, the Joint Commission, in every facility, and most of our facilities meet the CARF accreditation or certification, which is the Commission on Accreditation of Rehabilitation Facilities. So that's a specific accreditation that we pride ourselves on having, because it's not always required, but we prefer to have it because it's built on the ASAM criteria, which is a specific set of criteria that designates levels of care for folks who are suffering from substance use disorder and who are in treatment. And so we've been doing this for a really long time. We treat about, I would say, 5,000 to 10,000 patients a year, depending on what we're looking at. We have 2,000 employees, and we have about, I think we have 22 facilities in total, if you include our detox hospital level of care, residential, outpatient, inpatient programs. So as I mentioned, we're accredited by CARF. CARF is built on the ASAM criteria. I want to get to a couple of the questions. So primarily the first one, which is yours, is particularly important as well, because now I have to make some calls tomorrow to make sure that someone gets up there and weed eats the most. So thank you for that. It is vacant, to answer your question. The other question falls under what we refer to as our security protocols. So we're staffed 24/7. At a facility like this, patients are there 24/7. It's an inpatient and residential program. So inpatient level of care, detox level of care, a patient comes in, they're suffering from some sort of substance use withdrawal. We taper them down into something more manageable so that they can kind of operate on an even keel, receive treatment, actual treatment, therapy services. We step them down into a lower level of care, which is called residential. The residential level of care, and these are all defined in the ASAM criteria, the residential level of care is where a patient receives it's still inpatient, but they get their weekly therapy appointments. They do 4 groups a day. They do actual work on themselves daily. They don't leave site. So to be clear, this is a self-contained location. Were they to leave against medical advice, we would transport them. So we transport patients to and from the facility. If they want to leave against medical advice, we ensure that they have a transportation set up before they leave. Because the last thing we want to do is leave someone with real problems in the communities that we operate in. Is there anything prohibiting them from just leaving? We can't make any guarantees, but we make every availability possible to ensure that they don't just disappear into the mist, if you will. Like the slide says, we're staffed 24/7, and after 13 years of being in this field, we've never had anybody complain about the security of our facilities. There have been some prospective complaints, people fearing that we would have security issues, but we've never had any actual ones. What we try and do, and I'll be brief on this, is we try and spruce up every property to give everybody a feel for what it's like to be at not necessarily their home, but a home where they can get the rest and the care that they need and feel like they're in a place where they can focus on their recovery. And so what we do, and you can disregard the family visitation because that's not this type of facility. Family visitation would be a facility where there's partial hospitalization care. That's not what we do at this location. But we try and make it as much like home as possible so they can focus on their therapeutic modalities. I'll show you a picture of the Haven Detox. This is an inpatient program in West Palm Beach. This facility is kind of an example of what you can expect the interior of all of our facilities to look like. We try and have the same or similar color scheme. And this is all of our facilities except Indiana. In Indiana, we do like an orange and gray color scheme, which not that it matters in terms of the colors, but it does kind of give you a feel for the level of comfort and the professionalism with which we put our facilities together. So without further ado, you kind of have, I think now you have a better feel for who we are as a company. If you have questions, certainly ask them at the end. I want to bring Jackie Daniels up to talk about the need for services in Virginia and kind of some of the research that we've done.
Evening. As Cheyenne said, my name is Jackie Daniels. I think I have the best name for the work that I do. I want to talk a little bit about, I know I had to break the ice. Most people ask if I know that's my name. So I have spent some time in this area of our country, and as a social worker, I'm very concerned in most of our communities about mental health and substance use. And what I learned about Virginia in particular is that now substance overdose deaths have, in combined deaths, are more than motor vehicle accidents and gun-related deaths in your state. And so there's an obvious issue that is not just Virginia, it's across the country. The other piece of information that I learned is that in Virginia, at least 1.3 million people in your state could be diagnosed with a substance use disorder. So there's a large population that really could use services. Up to 16% of your state actually would benefit from our program. Unfortunately, most people don't ever seek help. In Virginia as well, about 77% of those people that have a diagnosed substance use disorder or could have a diagnosed substance use disorder don't actually receive treatment. Typically, our marketing is best done through word of mouth. So people find out about our facility through friends and other families, and that's how they typically come to us, through referrals. In terms of cost to the state of Virginia and your area, about $5 billion is spent on the healthcare crisis around mental health and substance use in your state. And that's about $588 per resident in the state of Virginia. The other concerning data that we have collected is the suicide rate in Virginia, which is about 13 per 100,000 people. That means that this year in Virginia, about 1,200 people are going to lose their lives to suicide. And in connection with that, we know that substance use disorder is one of the leading causes that causes people to take their lives, which to me is shocking, but very real. Our goal really is to speak to a subset of your population that really needs our services and may otherwise not be able to receive them. And so we typically, in a community that we're in, will connect with local services, conduct outreach meetings, be at your health and wellness fairs, sharing information. The difference between our facility and other facilities is that we don't provide cookie cutter care. It's not necessarily treatment as usual. Most of our therapists, all of our therapists actually are master's level or more, and highly specialized in the work that they do. We also have other departments aside from therapists, medical and nursing staff. We provide case management services, which, if you're unfamiliar, takes care of everything concerning the person's life outside of therapy or clinical services. So whether it's financial, employment, et cetera. A big part of my role, actually, where I work, is working with families. And the family program is very important. You can't treat the individual without also thinking about their families and the community. Another big role of our therapists and case managers is to provide care coordination for those families. The program itself, Cheyenne mentioned, will be inpatient specific. One thing to mention is that we only accept voluntary patients, so we don't typically work alongside the courts or probation parole. And our staff is highly qualified and trained. We have a medical director, nurse practitioners, full nursing staff, mental health specialists, therapists, group facilitators, case managers, all of the above. Among our most commonly treated mental health disorders, there's something called a co-occurring disorder, which is the presence of both a substance use disorder and a mental health condition, which is about 85% of people struggling with substances. The number one is trauma. So we would treat PTSD, we treat mood disorders, anxiety disorders, the whole host of all of the mental health conditions. I'm going to introduce Michael now to speak about our veterans too. Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Mike Urban. I don't have a unique name like Jackie. Real quick, I'm a veteran. I'm also a clinician, and I'm also someone in recovery as a result of my service and the injuries I had. And I joined the Haven because they wanted to expand their services to the veterans and active duty community. And I help organizations around the country do this. And Virginia has always been on my bucket list because of the population. As you can see, there's almost 300,000 veterans within a 3-hour radius of this location. 40% experience mental health conditions, and 10% face substance use disorders, which is it's almost 27,000 veterans in this community that could utilize these services. The other part is Hampton Roads. The region includes the 18 major military installations, which between active duty members as well as dependents, you're looking at almost another 250,000 individuals that could be served within. Not all of them need that help, but a percentage of them would. These figures make Hampton Roads one of the most significant military communities in the U.S., both in terms of active duty and family support. The opportunity we have to serve here is it's strategically located, serving both the military and veteran population. As I said earlier, there's almost 27,000 veterans in the region that face substance use challenges, and 55% of them do not receive treatment. Our facility, what it will offer is veteran active duty focused care, collaboration with the VA, integrated trauma and substance use treatment, and a lot of things that I've picked up along the way that have been very effective in working with this community and being a good partner with the VA as well as the active duty side of things.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Taylor Parker. I'm an AICP certified planner with Timmons Group, helping the Haven Health team with sort of the special use process here. So I will be very brief. So we've covered the use, and I'm here to talk specifically to the site itself and some of those changes before you. So again, just to remind you of what the site currently looks like, and I will just pause here so you can see. And the proposed changes. So we really are talking from a site perspective of increasing the parking lot to 33 parking spaces. There will be 2 drop-off spaces and 2 ADA spaces on the property. But you'll see that the open space easement along Jamestown Road, the undisturbed forested buffer between the residential to the east, all of that will still be maintained with this proposed use of the site. And access still coming from the same places. So really just to reiterate that the only real site-specific changes are coming from that parking lot, which also utilizes the existing edge of pavement from what's out there today. Yeah, and I will add to Ms. Soloff's earlier point, we did request one change to the conditions before you about commencement, but I will let the applicant speak to that and sort of the reason for that request.
See, there's a small change. There was a restriction that we would be required to become licensed within 24 months.
Which number is it,
Nine.
please?
Number nine.
Number 9, thank you.
Thank you, because I didn't have it in front of me, but I appreciate it. So number 9 requires us to have an a license within 24 months. What we've seen in other states, which I don't expect in Virginia, is that sometimes that licensing process takes a long time. A lot of times it takes 6 months, sometimes 3 months, but we have an application pending in Connecticut right now. Well, it's finally been issued, took over 3 years. And so what we're doing is we're asking that the commission would allow us 36 months just in case. It's a worst case scenario. It's not good for us to have to wait, so we're going to push hard to get it done as quickly as possible. But in that just in case scenario, we want to make sure that we have the time to get that license issued. And that's the only change we have.
Just a quick question. And so the relationship of 9 also then applies to the occupancy number 2, where you have to have that license to be able to do it. It comes from the same people.
Yes, exactly. So the occupancy limitation is 50. We're actually expecting about 48. But if the state says, no, you can only treat up to 24 people,
Right.
then we'll
Make the adjustment.
exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have questions of the applicant? I have one question, actually. Do you expect this to open soon after, open for occupancy soon after the license is granted?
Soon as possible, because we've made the capital investment in the property. It's not complete because we're going to do some renovations and some upgrades. But as soon as possible after that final capital investment, we'd like to get up and running.
Your ownership is separate from the adjoining facility, 1811 Jamestown Road, the one to the left.
That's correct. We have no affiliation.
Great, thank you. And have you looked into the employment situation in James City, Greater Williamsburg? Are you pretty confident you'll be able to staff this?
So we just opened a facility in Bedford, Indiana, which most of you probably have never heard of, and that was our primary concern there. What we do is we pay higher than market rates to ensure that we can pull people, whether it's from other communities or from within the community. We also have, we have employment opportunities from every level, from housekeepers to cooks to master's level clinicians, physicians, nurse practitioners, nurses. So are we confident? We never go into a community certain that we're going to be able to get the employees we need, but we're confident in our ability to incentivize folks to come work for us. And we get really good quality people. I mean, if you talk to our patients, usually what they say is, this place was great because they treated me so well. And it's because of the people that we get. So we've been really fortunate in that, but I can't guarantee you that we're going to be able to staff it. I think we will, but it's tough to guarantee.
This isn't relevant. I'm just curious. You spoke earlier about the value of families, but you don't permit visitation. What's behind that decision?
The visitation piece, actually, let me give that to Jackie Daniels because she's a clinician.
I once had a neighbor named Johnny Walker, Ms. Daniels, so
Hey, we need to meet.
I understand your plight.
That is a really good question, and I think from experience, our patients do best when they leave an environment and slowly reintegrate back into that environment. I think one, because of parking and also because of traffic, they're going to be with us for such a short stay. that's one consideration. The other one is that we do family therapy, and periodically somebody might be brought into the facility that's a family member. But with visitation, things get a little tricky sometimes, because sometimes families also need help before they are then brought in to see their loved ones, if that makes
How
sense.
long's the average? It does. How long's the average stay?
You know, I think for some people it could be 7 to 10 days, all the way up to 60 days. It really depends. Insurance usually determines how long they're with us.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you. I have no other, oh, excuse me, yes, I do. Taylor Parker? Oh, that was you, okay, I'm sorry. I have no other speaker cards. Would anybody else like to address the commission on this subject? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Yes. Come up to the podium, please, and state your name and address. By the way, we don't answer questions, but if you have a concern to express or an opinion.
Not concerned. So my name is Maria Elena Dalmau Wilkie, and I live 2 houses that way to the 7-Eleven. So the backyard of that facility goes into like the woods of our half acre. But the only thing that I wanted to ask was, I think you mentioned security and, making this community and the clients safe. So my question is there armed guards or armed personnel or no?
Could I ask you to maybe have that conversation after the public hearing?
Okay.
And speak with him offline?
Okay.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I think that was it. Just
Okay.
that concern. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anybody else care to address the commission at this time? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, which I think I already did, and open it for discussion or a motion. Mr. Polster.
In reviewing the community impact statement, I don't think that I've ever seen one as complete as that was, especially the Phase 1 environment study, which showed me the real due diligence that you all have done in terms of what the property looks like, what its health conditions, all of the things that could be wrong or whatever. And I guess the only thing that I saw in there that needed to be addressed, which wasn't necessarily your problem, was the BMP, because it's so old. And you've already agreed to work with the staff to be able to move it up for it. But I wanted to offer that compliment to you and your staff for the great due diligence that you did in preparing this paper. And it was really evident in that document. And with that, unless there's any other discussion, I'll move a motion. Okay.
Thanks. I just sort of want to put it on the record. First of all, I am also similarly impressed with the package that was put together, with the idea that it's reutilizing a property without much change. The footprint remains the same. There is no impact on the school in Berkeley District. The traffic is perhaps less than it was. All wonderful things. The mission, wonderful also. I just put it out, now tell me if I misstated, I believe this is the 3rd application for they're not all similar in size and things, but for a rehab facility near residences. And in both the hearings that we had for the other 2, each one is unique, each one is considered on its own. But there were residents that got up and said, the fence isn't strong enough, or I've seen gentlemen walking at night. These things, real or imagined, are felt and they're believed. And so I at least encourage you all. I plan to support it. I think it's a great package, but to really reach out to those adjoining property owners. And also, just as you get familiar with the area, I think you'll see, you can't help but see that there are people that seem to be walking up and down that street in the dark. That foot traffic has increased with the beer garden. And while it's not directly across the street, it's pretty darn close. It's close enough, I think, you know, that might be a concern for y'all to keep your antennas up for, especially just the music. The 7-Eleven, you see people coming out with a brown bag and it's 10 at night. Maybe it's milk and maybe it's not. And so, like I say, really imagine it's a wonderful location, really. I don't mean to tell you that it's not, but there are families nearby and some of them will have concerns.
Maybe to echo Mr. Polster's comments about the packet, I'm still relatively new, so I don't know that I could say this is an exemplar, but I didn't have any questions. But I also think that this could be a model. Like, I think one of the stats said that 77% of those who suffer from substance abuse have not received treatment or have not. So the third application, I can see more applications coming for this type of service and mitigating concerns and things like that up front. And as this process goes along, could really be a great example and ease some of the fears that I think we've seen before. So, thank you for.
Thank you. Anyone else? A motion?
I'll make a motion that the Planning Commission recommend to the Board of Supervisors that they approve SUP 24-0035 Haven Health Mental Health and Substance Abuse Hospital with a change to condition 9, moving it from 24 months to 36 months.
Ms. Stennis, please call the roll.
Mr. Polster?
Aye.
Mr. Rogers?
Aye.
Mr. Everson?
Aye.
Mr. May?
Aye.
Dr. Ullman?
Aye.
Dr. Haskins? Mr. Haldeman?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We'll move on to.
Really?
Move on to Planning Director's report. Ms. Stennis?
I have nothing additional to add.
Great, thank you. Planning Commission discussion and requests. First of all, I notice we have several scouts in the audience tonight. Welcome. It's a great program, had a very beneficial impact on my life, and I wish you all the same. There will be no Board of Supervisors coverage in August, but I'll get you later, so. The Policy Committee meeting is canceled. There will be a Development Review Committee on August the 20th. And finally, if you'll please indulge me for one more minute, I would like to take a minute to remember Sarah Kadick, who died last week at the age of 92. Yeah, I had that. I thought she would live forever. I doubt that Sarah's frame reached 5 feet, but she was a huge force for good in James City County. Sarah was an activist in the best sense of the word, fighting tirelessly to keep our county true to the aspirations so clearly laid out in the comprehensive plan. She helped to organize residents along Route 5 when development threatened their neighborhood's character, and she organized the county's Citizens Coalition to help dissuade our government from turning the county into another Northern Virginia. She was a constant presence at Planning Commission and Supervisors meetings, pointing out the threats embedded in various proposals. Sarah's remarkable energy and ability led to a successful multifarious career. She served in the White House, in the Fort Belvoir Research Information Center, the Armed Forces Weapons Program at the Pentagon, the Government Printing Office Library, the Government Procurement Library Program, the Department of Agriculture National Library, and the Federal Energy Administration and the Environmental Protection Agency. She was equally comfortable and productive in the private sector, serving as librarian at Fairchild Stratus Corporation, Booz Allen Applied Research, Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Lab, Carnegie Public Library in Pittsburgh, and as a researcher at the Center for Scientific and Technical Information in Tel Aviv, Israel. She taught classes at Catholic University and the University of Maryland Master's Program, as well as the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. After retiring from the EPA, Sarah began her own consulting business with clients ranging from Emerson Electric and ExxonMobil to other commercial and government offices. 10 years later, she took a second retirement and moved to James City County, where she was able to to apply her research skills to our county government, whether they liked it or not. Sarah received several awards from the county and from Women with a Cause. She received a certificate of appreciation from the Department of Agriculture and Commerce and a silver medal from the EPA. Sarah wrote articles and books and gave many speeches and presentations. She also served on a number of boards and advisory committees. She taught me that one person can make a difference. I learned a lot from working with Sarah, and I will miss her. Thanks for your patience.
Add something to that. I didn't realize she'd passed away. Just to piggyback on that, Sarah and I didn't agree. We agreed on very little when it came to development, et cetera. But I will say this, she always treated me with a great deal of respect and engaged in, I thought, really good conversations and et cetera with her. But to me, it's, so much goes on today where we're so disagreeable when we don't agree. And she could disagree without being disagreeable. And I'm sorry to hear that she passed. She was a nice lady. And like I said, we didn't agree on much. But may she be with God.
Organizing heaven, I think, right now. Anybody else? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Very nice, Jack. Very nice.
An hour.